I like it. Nothing like a podcast to implore people to get your dad to get hearing aids.
Welcome to Winging It. I am Sammy, and this is my co-host Frank. Frank, how are you doing today?
I'm I'm good. I'm excited to talk about warblers. Let's let's do that.
Yes, we were texting the other day, and you told me that you were pretty pumped for this episode, and that you got your first of the season Townsend's Warbler.
Yep. FOS Townsend's, Wilson's, and I got a Nashville already, so that wasn't first of the season. But yeah, yesterday we finally ran across some warblers, which is feels later than usual, but I'll take it. I'm excited. Warblers are my favorite group of birds to talk about, so I have pushed for this topic.
Yes, yes. I texted Frank, and I was like, "What do you want to talk about?" He's like, "Warblers." Okay.
It's warbler
Yeah,
season.
I just set up my bird bath and my bird camera, and I had two orange crown warblers today and a yellow warbler at the bird bath. So I
Nice.
was pretty excited about that.
You're gonna have a link to show us all where we can watch those warblers come into your from.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping for some now that I have the camera on there 24/7. I'm hoping I can spot something really rare. So
That'll be
I
fun.
mean, Matt Brady had a black burnian warbler a couple weeks ago, not too far from here. So
Name dropping. Name dropping.
yeah, shout out to Matt. Okay, but before we get too far, let's address a question that we've gotten from some people as to what is a warbler. Because there's a lot of different birds that have the name warbler in them, but they aren't necessarily the group of birds that we're talking about. So today we're talking about the New World uh, wood warblers, which are a family of warblers found in the Americas. But there are old world warblers. Um,
Oh yeah, they don't count.
so
We
yeah,
don't
let's
talk
just
about the old world.
we don't the old world, yeah. Well, I just wanted to explain to the people why multiple different families of birds that aren't related can still get the same name.
Lack of creativity, and I guess more science. There's more science now, and we know better what things are related to what. I think if we went through and reorganized everything by the DNA, people would be very upset with the amount of name changes that would have to happen, and that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So I think we're okay. So for now, yeah, there's different groups of warblers, and we're just going to be okay with that for a while.
Yeah, part of this too is right. These were named before things like DNA and genetics were a thing, and so now we look at different species and maybe like, or especially with like grosbeaks or tanagers. There's all these birds that are called grosbeaks and tanagers just because they look similar, or they have similar sized beaks or whatever, but they end up being totally different groups of birds. So
Yeah, people in Central and South America laugh at our tanagers. Like those aren't real tanagers.
yeah.
Oh,
But for clarity, today we're talking about the New World warblers, also sometimes called the wood warblers. There's about 130 species of them. They're generally pretty small, arboreal, so they're mostly up in the trees. That's not the case for every species. Insectivorous, so they're going to be eating insects, not so much seed or things like that. So they have more long or pointer beaks, pointier, I should say, and they have usually pretty colorful plumage. Frank is representing one right now with his shirt. You see a nice male black Burnian warbler there for those who are watching on YouTube. And yeah, and then they do have very kind of beautiful and kind of jumbling songs. Well, I mean, kind of. Every species is different. So, Frank, why don't you tell us first about Warbler Bingo and what that is all about? Because you mentioned your first of the season, Townsend. So for people who aren't as familiar with birding, what does that mean, first of the season?
so first of the season, FOS, basically means the first time you've seen this bird during either fall or spring migration. People like to go either way with it. Here where we are, where I am in Southern California, we get the Townsend's warblers coming through now, obviously, and they're here usually through the winter. They leave again in the spring. So when they come through in the fall, FOS means that's the first one I've seen this fall migration. Yeah. And Warbler Bingo is because I'm crazy and I love warblers. And I was like, I came from New Jersey, but did not bird in New Jersey. So I missed all those warblers. So I come out here, living in Southern California, we get the vagrant eastern birds that come through here in the fall. And there were so many, and it was so exhilarating to chase them down. I was like, we should make a bingo game out of this. And so I did. And it's one of the most like difficult things for anybody to win because you never know which birds are going to come through, right? So you might need a Kentucky warbler to win, and there might not be one this year or the next 5 years or 10 years. It's not a regularly occurring thing. So it's a very difficult but fun game to play, I think. We'll see if somebody wins this year. I don't know. I hope so. But it's fun. It gets people into going out to see the warblers and going out to pay attention to fall migration, talking with other people out there and going on the field trips. And I think it really helps kind of give somebody something to talk about if they don't really know what the warblers are. But it's like, hey, what's a Nashville warbler look like? And then you learn something, you look it up in a book, you talk to somebody, more community. I think it's been a lot of fun. Honestly, I've been doing it for like 10 years at this point. I enjoy it.
I did win 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
I had I think I had my free space in the middle, and then I had an American redstart, the Gillivrays warbler, Tennessee warbler, and one other common like a Wilson's or yellow rumped. I don't know.
Pretty good.
But I didn't know you were the one who invented Warbler Bingo.
At least out here. I mean, I don't know if somebody invented it earlier, but I was not inspired by anything other than basic bingo rules and an absurd number of vagrant warblers showing up out here in the county. So, yeah, I did that for Canal Valley Audubon when I was the webmaster. So I coded it and designed the whole thing, put it together, and it's still going today, even though I'm not the one administering it anymore.
Yeah, I still have to download my card. For those who don't play Warbler Bingo and you're in the Ventura area, I mean, what are you doing, first of all? But how can they sign up?
Yeah, if you want to play, if you're in Ventura, the birds in Ventura count. That's it. You have to see them in Ventura County. There's no like traveling around the country to see them.
Yeah.
But you can go to the Caneo Valley Audubon.org website and you can pull a card up there. It's free.
Actually, here, let me, if our listeners will amuse us for a second, let me go
It's our job to amuse many.
Yeah. And I'll kind of show everyone what we're talking about here. All right. Okay. So here we are on the Conejo Valley website. We go to birding, Warbler Bingo. So how to play. You see all the rules there. But yeah, you just click here.
At the bottom.
Oh, so you're at the bottom, right? Yeah. All right, let's get my bingo card. Let's see what I get.
I'm gonna email you.
Past winners. I think I'm here. Oh, Mark. Aha, there I am. 2021, Sammy Cow.
2021.
Yeah, Yellow Rump Warbler. That's what I thought.
That's good.
All right.
There you go.
Now I'll go to my email. So you get an email. It says, thank you for requesting your Warbler bingo card. Click here to retrieve your bingo card. And there you go. Okay, so I'm coming down this weekend. What is going to be my play here?
Ooh.
So, okay. I'm looking here. Yeah, you definitely have increased the difficulty of this. Okay, but I think I see my path here. I think down the center row on the N column.
Down the middle.
I got common yellowthroat, easy. Orange crown warbler, easy. Northern water thrush, there's usually always one hanging out at the settling ponds. And Tennessee warbler, that honestly, I could get this done this weekend. Not even living in the county anymore.
I will say we have not had a Tennessee yet, and usually by now we've had a few.
Oh, I know. I still have my Ventura rare bird alerts on. I still know what's happening.
All right. Good.
So okay, all right. Well, there you go. That's Warbler Bingo. Yeah, and if everyone wants to make their own Warbler Bingo, Yeah, just figure out what birds are seen in your county. And you coded it something where it's like, or you have like a certain amount of like super hard birds in there too, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, difficult. I think last year nobody won, and usually there's only like one winner, so it's not something that people are just like picking up a card and everybody's getting a win out of it. But I think after last year when nobody won, we down tweaked it a little bit because people were like, "Oh, it was impossible. I didn't even get close." So it may be a little bit easier this year. I don't.
Mm.
But you never know. If no Tennessee Warblers show up, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, just cry, and
That's what we do. Yeah. I'm
gnash your
surprised,
teeth.
honestly, that we haven't had any really good vagrant warblers show up yet. I mean, the water thrush is like a regular at this point. I'm probably gonna have to knock him down a peg. But it's been so quiet with the warblers. I'm shocked.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Every season is a little different. Why some seasons start earlier or later than others. I mean, there's so many factors at play. But this is actually leads us to another question we got kind of talking about where how do warblers and other migrants, kind of recognize where to go and sort of what paths do they follow? So I think actually this was John who asked, when migrating, do they stay over the ocean? Are they more inland, going over mountains and passes? How do they know the routes to follow?
Magic. At this point, it feels like magic. There are some birds, some of the warblers, most famously the black-polled warbler, that fly out over the Atlantic Ocean on their way south. On their way north, they take terrestrial route. They go up over Mexico. For some reason, it's better to go out over the open ocean. What has been happening more recently is they're finding other species are also taking the oceanic route. And the way that they find these things out is pretty awful, but they examine the contents of sharks and find a whole bunch of warblers. So we know they're flying out that way. And it's also peak hurricane season, so it's like a terrible decision, but that's fine. There are risks and hazards no matter which way you go when you're migrating. As far as how they know the route, some of them have the ability to tap into magnetic fields and can tell the difference between north and south. A lot of them apparently can navigate by star position, which is an absolutely amazing thing that they can tell where the stars are and align themselves that
Mm.
way. As for like where to stop and what routes to follow, they can use visual landmarks. Like they can follow mountain ranges and rivers and lakes and that kind of thing. Like they are able to do that. So with all of these different tools, enough of them make it from the breeding grounds to the wintering grounds to continue the cycle again. And it's absolutely mind blowing that it succeeds at all and that it works somehow. It's just I love it.
Yeah, and I think we should mention the reason not only warblers but other songbirds migrate is we call them neotropical migrants. Basically means they're coming from, Mexico, Central, South America, and in the spring and summer they move up here to the United States into Canada, basically to take advantage of the warming conditions and now the insects and food that's now available up here. In the tropics, there's lots of birds there. So if you can move away from competitors and then take advantage of a new resource that's seasonally new, then that could be advantageous, even though it is also extremely uh, an
Oh yeah.
arduous task to undertake. But yeah, now I was also reading too that so like the blackpoll warbler, for example, um, some birds seem to have their magnetic fields like flipped around like a north-south axis. So basically,
Yeah.
it thinks it's going, if it heads off like, okay, I'm heading slightly east, it's actually heading slightly west, and so that's how you
And
can
that's why
get,
we get them. Yeah.
yeah, different birds.
I don't like that theory. I get it, but it also means all of the vagrant birds that we have are probably going to go out into the Pacific Ocean and just splash down.
Well,
So,
just enjoy them while you can, and just hope for the best.
yeah, that's basically birding in general right now.
Just maybe, yeah, yeah, and attach a little magnet to their head and try to reorient everything, try to flip it
Yeah,
around
come on, go
again.
this way, go this way.
So, but yeah, then some birds too, like the water thrush, they just seem like, hey, this is just my spot. Um,
Yeah,
and they kind of find a spot, if they has everything they need, cover, shelter, food, water. Like, okay.
Yeah. I wonder with like the water source who comes back year after year, and we've had, Baltimore Orioles do the same thing. If it's like that, or they have the ability to imprint on their wintering ground, right? Like the white crowns when they
Mm.
come back to the same yard, it's year after year after year. I wonder if those other birds are like, you know what, this is good enough. I'm just going to lock it in here, and I'm going to come back here every year. It probably is. I mean, it's far enough south. It's just kind of interesting. I don't know. I
Yeah.
love the
No, man.
test that we've done. Have you heard about what they did to the white crowns to find out how they like if they imprint on wintering grounds?
Educate me.
So they captured a bunch of white crowns from somewhere in California. It was like Santa Clarita or somewhere around here, and they took them to Maryland and released them.
Ha!
And the white crowns all came back to California the next winter. So it's like,
That
no, we're
just
not
seems
East
cruel.
Coast. Yeah, it's I mean a little bit, but it tells you a lot. It's really fascinating that if a bird is safe over the winter and there's food and shelter, like you were saying, that they will return back to that, and that is just fascinating.
Yeah, and it's yeah. I think too that's what makes, at least for me, birding so exciting, is because you can tell, at least I can tell, the seasons are changing because the birds are changing.
Right.
I was birding yesterday and I had a widgeon and a gadwall. I'm like, oh, cool, the waterfowl are starting to come back, and like, oh yeah, it's fall. So yeah,
Yes,
I don't pay attention to the weather. I pay attention to the birds.
it's in California. Who cares? The weather's the same every day, whatever.
So, all right. Well, Frank, we wanted to share some of our favorite kind of stories about birding, well, specifically looking for warblers. And
Yeah, yeah,
you had mentioned actually a story that we experienced together of our time in Belize. Why don't you tell everyone
yeah.
about that?
So, yeah, one of the things that I love about warblers is that they travel in flocks, especially during fall or, it's just they're a flocking bird. They form these big mixed groups of different species of warblers, and other birds will join them too. And when you find one of them, it's so exciting, right? It's just like
Mm-hmm.
all of these
Mm-hmm.
birds come out of nowhere. They move through the area, and as fast as you can look, you're identifying different warbler species. And so we had this happen in Belize. Was out in the pine forests, right, towards the end of the
Yeah,
trip,
the pine savannas.
and
Yeah.
the guide, pine savannas, yeah, the guide was playing some kind of a call. I forget what it was, and these birds just started popping up in the trees, chipping, and they're going all around. And all of us had our binoculars out there, and we're just calling off birds as fast as we could see them. Black-throated breed, Grace's warbler, and everybody's like, where? And it's just like pandemonium for like 15 minutes, and then they just disappear. They just all quietly go back to whatever they were doing. And I've had this happen a number of times in Florida, in New Jersey, South Carolina, just walking through the forest, and you hear some chips, and you just look up and you just watch all these little birds, these little colorful birds go through,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like it's the test, right? It's like, have you studied your warblers? Here's the test. See how many you can get as they pass through and chip their way through as they're just like foraging. And that's just like the quintessential warbler experience that I think everybody really needs to have to fully
Mm.
appreciate the warblers.
Yeah, finding those mixed species flocks it's one of those things. It almost feels like a fairy tale. You're like, whoa, you're just kind of walking, and all of a sudden you're just birds everywhere, and you're like, you look here, and then you look there, and they're just so, especially in the spring migration when they are in their breeding plumage, the warblers, they're just so stunning. And yeah,
Yeah,
even if in like that particular day where it was kind of quiet, we did a mob tape, I think, and then they just come out of nowhere, and you're like, where are all these birds? They're just, it's
yeah,
incredible just to see when they're, not actively calling, or maybe, if they're not kind of right in front of you, they're still around. You just have to
yeah.
be mindful and look at them.
It's amazing.
I think for me, I think what I like about migration and warblers is just kind of the random places they show up. So I don't know if this was a couple of years ago. I can't remember if it was pre or post COVID, or might have even been during COVID, but there was a pine warbler that showed up in Ventura that
Mm.
someone had found, but it was in the most random spot possible. So we have these tamarisk trees, right? They're not native, but they are, for whatever reason, these little leafhopper bugs. They love them. And so then the warblers go to the trees because that's where the bugs are. And there was a row of tamarisk trees. It was actually by the Oxnard airport, I think.
Mhm.
And it's next to a really busy street. But that's not even the crazy part. What was wild was so there's the street, there's the road trees, and there's kind of like a ditch, and then there's a agricultural field. And in this ditch, there were a couple of encampments and people just, you know, living there. And so this guy, I think it was Noah Arthur, he just decided I'm gonna go bird here at this place. Like there was no parking lot. There's no any sort of thing like, oh yeah, this is a nice place to go bird. Like, you're like trying to skirt around people's, sleeping areas, and he finds this pine warbler. And so I remember going out there just like, oh, like trying not to disturb other people, and also then like I don't want to go too far in the street because then there's cars like right next to me, and so like I
Mhm.
would watch the traffic, wait wait for the traffic to slow down, that I would hop out into the street to get around to the next section of the trees. That's just like,
Yep.
why am I here right now?
I saw that bird. I know exactly what you're talking about. And when I saw it, it was on a branch hanging over the road, and it was just like, oh, come back in, come back in. Oh my gosh.
I think maybe that speaks more to birders rather than birds. It's just like, yeah, I will go into this
You
random ditch to
know,
find a bird.
I have definitely seen warblers, especially in encampments, like the American redstart at the ponds was hanging out near an encampment last
Oh,
winter.
right.
Um, there was the black-throated blue 2 years ago that was hanging
Hmm.
out in like some garbage that was thrown on the side of the road, and it was going in and out of the trash bags. So I don't think it's all us. I think the birds have some like weird tendencies over there. They're just like, oh, there's a lot of stuff here. I'm just gonna hang out and see what happens. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure maybe there's
I have
probably a
a
lot of
picture.
bugs.
Yeah, I mean that the garbage that black-throated blue was going in was pretty rancid, and I was like taking pictures of it on top of the garbage bags, and like it went into a hole, and I was just, come on. It's such a
National
graceful,
Geographic.
beautiful bird, and it's just dumpster diving.
Yeah, no, I love black-throated blues. They are a handsome, handsome bird. Yeah, the red star. Actually, another story that I remember. Um, so at Laguna one year there was a red start, and similar situation, tamarisks. Not as not people living there, but that road is cars easily drive 60 miles an hour down that road.
Yeah.
Um, But for me, that's the kind of wild about this story was I had appendicitis, um, and I didn't know it yet. But I woke up like at 2 in the morning, and I was just like, oh, I just feel my stomach feels really uncomfortable, and I wasn't sure what it was, and I thought maybe I'd just like walk around, and nothing. It didn't work, so it eventually became dawn, and I was like, oh well, I know the red star's hanging out at Laguna. I'll go over there and get him. I'm up already. And I remember going there, and there was several other people there. Actually, John Mueller was there, and I was just like in so much discomfort, and I was also so tired. Right, I'd been up since 2. I remember we were looking for it. We didn't find it. I was like, I'm just gonna sit on the side of the road here, and I was like, just tell me when you find it. just like just saying like, I feel so bad right now. And John asked me, he's like, you okay, man? I was like, I am not okay. But then we found the warbler, and I was like, all right, that was worth it. And I was like, oh, and then I started getting hungry. So I was like, maybe I was just hungry or something. I don't know. So I went home, ate some cereal. Yeah. And then I proceeded to throw up for the next, 6 or 7 hours, just like nonstop dry heaving. And then so I had my sister take me to the urgent care, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's just indigestion. And so
Oh
they
my
gave me
gosh.
some antacids. And I was like, okay. And I was starting to feel better. I was like, okay. Then I ate some crackers again. And then I felt worse. And I was like, nope. So I went to the ER. They took a CAT scan of me. Like, oh, yeah, your appendix is inflamed. You have appendicitis. So we need to operate on you. Like, oh, okay.
Wow,
So
that's at least you got the bird.
at least I got the bird, man. And then, but what I was really bummed by, I was like, man, this is the middle of fall migration, and like, after, this is like, I can't be driving afterwards. This is not like they operated on my arm. It's not like it's on my stomach. And so I really all I could do was lie down. But about like maybe 4 or 5 days later, I was feeling good enough. And this was also the year there was a yellow green Vireos over at Bald Kildy.
Mm, yeah,
And so I was like, all right, I'm going for this Vireo. And so I leaned the seat in the car as far as I could go. So I'm driving like with my head back like this
my
just because
gosh.
it's so uncomfortable. But I went there and I got the yellow green Vireo.
Okay, we're gonna have a whole episode about things that you've done to see birds that will make people feel very anxious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, birders are crazy. Now you made me think it's not the birds, it's the birders.
Probably, probably. So yeah, but I mean, I just, I love, I think, both of us had that feeling of like, there's just something so cool, so powerful to pull those birds, those birds that will pull you out of whatever you're doing,
Yeah,
and you're just like, yeah, it's so funny. Like, these birds weigh less than an ounce or two, right? And they're tiny and they're just so resilient too. Like, traveling to
yeah,
South America when you're can be easily blown by a puff of wind. I think also it's just a bit inspiring.
it's insane. It is really just, yeah. I feel very drawn to the warblers, and I feel like they're. It's amazing that they exist at all. Honestly, is how I feel about it. So every time I get to see them, it's just very uplifting and exciting.
Mm, that's a good word. So on that note, we have another question. What are your favorite warblers and why?
Ooh, all right. It's hard for me to pick a favorite, and I know I'm wearing a Blackbirdian shirt,
Hmm.
but it's real hard to find like good warbler shirts. So, um, I think the one that I always tell people is my favorite is the Townsend's warbler because it's the first warbler that I really saw when I moved to Southern California, and it found me, and that was very exciting. Like I was just walking around my condo, and this yellow and black bird lands on the ground, so like 5 feet in front of me. And it's like picking around at something and like looks up at me and flies up in a tree and starts like doing little checks. And I was just like, I have no idea what that bird is, and I love it. And I went and looked it up, and I was like, well, it could be a Townsend's or a black-throated green, because that's what you think, right, when you first go. And then I looked at the range map and caught myself. And that started the whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, there are all these incredible warblers. And now I want to go see more Townsends. And then I found the Wilsons and Hermits. And it's just, they're all, that was the spark warbler, I guess, with the Townsend's warbler.
The
So he
spark
gets
warbler.
top billing,
Mm.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Townsend, especially in the West Coast, yeah, are you could arguably say our most striking, West Coast warbler. Hermits are up there for me too.
I do like the Hermit. That the yellow face on the male is very
Yeah,
appealing for some
just a
reason. The
completely
black
yellow face
throat.
and then black throat.
Yeah.
Pretty good contrast. I think for me, I would actually have to say the McGillivray's warbler. Um, I think because like in like SoCal, like Ventura area, it's a warbler that comes through both in spring and fall, but it's not like super common. So when you see one, like, oh wow, it's cool. I saw McGillivray's. And I think I really like their call note is what I really like. And I remember I was taught that's like it sounds like two marbles hitting each other. And
Oh, yeah.
so that's kind of like that sort of sharp like kind of sound. And yeah, then when I lived in Utah, they would up in the mountains, they would nest up in there. And they nest up in here in the mountains as well. So it's kind of like I think a cool bird to see. You can see it both like in the lowlands during spring and fall, but then also if you're up in the mountains and then you're like, oh, what's this, striking warbler with this dark hood and these little white kind of eye arcs around it. They're like, oh, the Gillivrays. I think the males are the kind of contrast. I think is really really striking to see. So yeah, I think that would be my favorite warbler. But yeah, like I said, it's hard to choose. I really like black-throated blues a lot. Don't get them a lot here in the West Coast, but when
Yeah.
I would bird in the East Coast, seeing that, and they have a really cool song too as well. So I mean, yeah, it's hard to choose. It's like asking what's your favorite child, who's your favorite child.
I am surprised to find that yours is the McGillivray warbler because that feels more like you said there's Sammy birds and there's Frank birds. The McGillivray feels like a Frank bird, like kind of hides
Ah,
out, not super obvious. So I'm surprised you're not picking like a hooded warbler or something that's out in the open singing its head off all the time.
yeah, no, I think I'm drawn to the Franks of the world. What can I say?
I guess that's appropriate then. Never mind. Comment withdrawn.
Oh, that's good. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Oh yeah, we had this question. If you were to rename, so a lot of warblers have names that are associated with people, or named after ornithologists or their wives sometimes. There is actually, what was it? You said Blackbirdian. That was actually a female naturalist in her own right. So you have Wilson's Warbler, Townsend's, Grace's, Blackburnian Warbler, Swainson's Warbler, Virginia's Warbler, McGillivray's, and Kirtland's Warbler. So John again asks
Okay.
us if we were to rename the warblers, because for those who don't know, there is a push to take bird species that are named after people and just replace them with other names, either describing their appearance or their geography. Um, just to get away, because sometimes people have mixed pasts, and that can make it can create some controversy. So we are tasked with what should we rename some of these bird species.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were tasked with that? If they just came to us and be like, "Hey, what do you guys think we should name these birds?" I would like that power, honestly.
I would not, because I feel like I would get it wrong, and then people would be like there's such better names for everyone has an opinion, and so I wouldn't want to be that guy. Especially if people didn't know it was me, because then they'd tell me like, "Oh, dude, this new name sucks. Whoever did this is an idiot."
Okay, I guess it does put a bit of a target on you to be that person doing that, but still, I
That's
don't know.
just that's just my thought. But it's a thought exercise for now. Um, so yeah, I guess a easy one to start with. Wilson's Warbler have the males have a really nice dark black cap to them. Call it the black capped warbler. But so let's do this right. Let's have a probably generic, boring, acceptable bird name that everyone would call it, and a more exciting name that would be a little more fun.
Do we have like a picture of the warbler we can show so that people can see what we're talking about?
That's a good call. Let's see. I'll pull up Wilson's Warbler. Okay, so here is the Wilson's Warbler. You can see
Yes.
this nice adult male.
Mhm.
This nice black cap. You can see the female over here, or immature. Not as strong of a cap. You can still kind of see it, sort of little olive cap there. Um, I noticed that their sound is really kind of like a squeaky. It's kind of squeaky.
Mhm.
It's gonna be called
It's
a
like a
squeaky
dog toy,
warbler.
like a
Well, a
small
dog.
dog
That's
toy. Yeah.
the dog toy warbler.
Well, we could just rename it entirely from being a warbler. We can just name it like the yellow-faced squeaker or something. Like that. That feels
Yeah,
like a bird that is probably out there, right?
that's true. Yeah, I guess
There's
they're not every warbler is named like you have the water thrushes, the redstarts, ovenbirds. Those are all wood warblers, but they're not named warblers. Yeah, so okay, so we can maybe the black capped squeaker.
There we go.
Okay,
I like the ones
awesome.
that are names for like really not the most salient field mark. Like it drives me a little nuts sometimes, but I
Yeah,
hope we
like
get
a
some.
ringneck duck.
Yeah, exactly. You know the word
All
that
right.
drives me nuts the most, and it's not a warbler, unfortunately. It's a reddish egret because it's like you can't commit and just call it the red egret. You have to like hedge your bets and just call it reddish, or could be like purple
It's like it's
or
a
something.
little
Like
red
yeah, but it's just it's fine. Okay,
ish.
Townsend's. Ah, I just I'm gonna have a hard time calling this anything other than Townsend's, but Let's see. We've already got black-throated green, so I can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel this would be more of a geography thing, probably like northwestern warbler. It's kind of they nest up in the kind of the Cascades, Pacific Northwest, kind of up there into Western Canada.
Yeah. So
So
like northwestern Massachusetts warbler.
something like that. But yeah, what's a more kind of fun name for that? What do you notice about Townsends? There's I feel like at least in Southern California, they're kind of there's your generic winter warbler. I mean, they're not generic really in any sense.
Yeah, they have a
They're
lot of
like, oh
field
look at
marks
that.
going on.
Yeah, they do have a lot of. Maybe we could call it the many field marked warbler.
The eye test warbler.
The eye test. The what's the eye test? The Snellen eye chart warbler. That's the one. Like, can you resolve
We
all
got to
these
take the
fine
names down.
patterns?
Yeah, there's a lot. But I feel like because like one of the big differences between the Townsend and the black-throated green is the yellow on the chest and on the belly, that you could just call it
Mm,
like the northwestern yellow-bellied warbler. Go for that. Just ignore all of
that's
the
a
field
mouth.
marks that
That
make
is
a lot of
that.
sense.
Yeah, the northwestern yellow-bellied, white-winged, black-masked warbler. Let's just throw all the descriptors in there.
Let's see how many hyphens we can get in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's gonna be a really tough banding code to figure out. God, which words do we emphasize? Okay, let's do one more. What other ones do we have? What are the ones you want to do? We have Kirtland's Warbler,
Blackburnian?
Grace's, Swainson's, Blackburnian. Oh yeah, let's try with Blackburnian. We were
That's
struggling
sure.
with this one.
Oh, so
Ooh,
pretty.
man, what a bird.
Yeah. All right. So obviously you've got the orange throat and face. You could just go orange faced warbler. That seems too basic though. I
Orange
like that
face
black
warbler.
triangle, like the black triangle on the face. So you could go with the triangle faced warbler.
Triangle face. I think what
Uh,
I like
it's just
is
ridiculous.
the hearing aid warbler because you're not going to hear this bird if you have hearing aids. It is just
That's
way too
that
high
is true.
pitched. Their call.
Yeah. It's like a cedar waxwing territory there with that
Yeah,
shrill.
cedar waxwings, ruby crown kinglets.
Yep.
That's when you're a real good birder, especially with sounds. That's when you know you're like, oh man, I gotta go get my hearing tested. I can't hear the Blackburnian
Mhm.
warbler anymore.
That's their first sign. There's like a chart, right? When you can't hear this one and then it goes down. It's like when you can't hear the white crowns, you've got a big problem. But for the
Oh yeah,
Blackburnian, it's
yeah.
just a start.
My dad needs to get
I like
hearing
that.
aids, and it drives me crazy. And I say this to his face, so I have no problem saying it here. But I've now committed to if he says, what or huh, I'm just not going to repeat myself. So,
All right.
I feel like I feel like I'm the problem here because I am enabling this behavior of allowing
Sure.
someone to just continue to live and they're like, we have whole entire conversations like right behind him and he can't hear anything. So, anyways, that's if you
Aside.
guys know my dad, make sure to get on him to get hearing aids.
I like it. Nothing like a podcast to implore people to get your dad to get hearing aids.
Yeah, somebody please, I'm desperate.
Uh, I want to do the question, the last question about how to attract the warblers, because I
Yes,
feel like
that's
that's
a good one to end
a
on.
good message. So I do a lot with attracting birds to yards. It's kind of a thing that I get paid to do. And so if you want to attract warblers, primarily they're going to be eating insects. So the
Hmm.
things you want to do, native plants, always big on native plants. Wherever you are, figure out what plants are native to your area. That's going to get you some native insects. That's going to give you the best chance to draw in some warblers. Next, like Sammy's got his bird bath set up, source of water. If you're flying 2,000 or 3,000 miles on a trip, you're probably going to get a little thirsty. Water is going to help bring in birds to your yard. And the last thing I would recommend would be to put some suet or some mealworms out there if you're going to be offering food to the birds. Suet, I have had a lot of really good birds come to it in the winter. Townsend's, yellow rump, orange ground. They'll fight over it, and it's great. Even I mean, if you don't get wintering warblers, and then maybe when they come through, they'll take a bite. But for those of you who get wintering warblers, suet is the way to go, and it's just really fun to watch them go at it like that. So that's kind of how you can try and get it in on this, get them coming to your yard.
Yeah, and another thing to add to that, especially with the insects, try to not use pesticides. That
Yeah,
can be tricky because it's not just your yard, but the surrounding yards. And so if your neighbor is, spraying their lawn, then that might kind of impact what gets brought to your yard. But yeah, and then if like with the like Frank mentioned with the water, I added a dripper to my bird bath, and even just some source
mhm,
of kind of running or moving water it can bring in a lot of birds as well. And then yeah, if you can get those native plants, that'll be, I mean, not only great
for sure.
for the birds, but also gives you uh, nice plants. They don't need a lot of water, where they're more adapted to the climate wherever you live. Provides you with some greenery, some shade potentially. You know, win-win.
That's it. Do you have anything else? I have a thing I can promote. I on Sunday the 21st at 2 o'clock Pacific time, I'm going to do a beginner bird ID class for fall birds. The birds coming through right now, and that'll be on Zoom. You can find me at Frank the Bird Guy on Facebook. With a link to that.
Awesome. Yeah, send me the link. I'll put that in the description as well.
Okay, it's cool.
Yeah. I guess yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
leading
Oh,
I'll be actually down in SoCal leading the Conejo Valley field trip this Saturday. So if you're in the area,
where's that trip to?
Sycamore.
Yeah, okay. Warblers. Cool.
All right, party people. I think that's all we got for now. If you have any questions for us, check us out on Facebook. We have Winging It with Frank and Sammy. And then you can also support us at our individual websites and Patreon. So until next time, keep it real, enjoy the birds, and we'll see you later.